Hello. About a year ago, I got a vermicompost, and in the beginning, I found it quite difficult to understand the whole process. And what I found on YouTube was mainly people composting like in a garden setting. So I will try to explain what I've learned while having this bin for a year. One of the first question I was having if the bin smells. If you can have it like inside of an apartment, and the short answer is no, it doesn't smell. It doesn't smell at all. We actually keep it inside, right here in the corner of the kitchen, and you cannot notice it. Even if you are close to it like this, it's fine. And even if you open it, it's more of a, like an earthy smell. It's not a foul odor. To achieve this, you actually need to put only what belongs to the vermicompost, not to put any dairy products or meat. And if you abide by a few simpler rules and the compost is healthy, it doesn't smell at all. The other question I wanted answered was where to place this. And my first idea was to have it on a balcony, but really that didn't work out because we soon realized that the temperature is not good for the worms. The worms should be somewhere between like a 15 and 30 degrees Celsius. If it's below 15, the worms slow down the metabolism. If it's under 6 degrees Celsius, they begin to die. If it's over 30, they can overheat. Especially on the balcony, it can get very hot when the sun is shining on it. So after a very short period, we actually moved it inside where there's a room temperature, and since then we had it like that, and I think it's gonna stay like that. It doesn't cause any problems inside, so you can have it in a kitchen. When choosing a bin that you will be using inside, I highly recommend getting one of these multi-level, or they also call it stackable designs, which simplifies the process greatly, and it also makes it very clean to handle. This particular one is made by a Czech company. I think they ship all of EU. I don't think it's available in United States. I'm not affiliated with the company in any way. I paid for this bin with my own money, but if you would like this exact one, I will leave a link below in the description. So, we got our bin, and now it's time to set it up. So, this is the bottom level that will accumulate the liquid that we'll use to fertilize plants. And on top of it, we add a screen. Mine one is kind of dirty because I've used it already, but you will receive a pristine one. My package had two of these, which were just in case that one of them breaks. And we'll just pop it in like so, and that will filter everything that will spill or go down from our bin. Now we have an empty bin, and we'll just place it on top. Now we'll just have to create some kind of a bedding that the worms can kind of crawl into and start functioning before you put more food. So you can use a lot of stuff as a bedding. I just took cardboard and I tear it out by hand. If you have a shredder, it's even better. Use preferably one that's not bleached. It's not bright white, but this kind of brown stuff. Once you put it in, make it moist quite a lot. The worms, they gotta be moist at all times, and the cardboard, it's quite dry and you could dry them up. So be sure to make it moist, like so. You could even pre-soak it, maybe a little more. And once we have it, we can dump them in. They will also eat the cardboard, so it's also some food they have. So I got my worms like this from a friend who has a vermicompost. Anybody who has a vermicompost will gladly give you some. Maybe you can try on Facebook You can also order them online. Everybody uses a variety that's called red wigglers. Uh, they differ from other worms in that they don't need very deep soil to work in. They stay kind of near the top, which in a vermicompost that's as small as this one is quite important. So they're hidden in there. Let's see if we can find them. Oh, there they are. I'll try to show them on camera. Here. The more you get, the better. It will start working sooner. I got them like this. You can see for transport they had some food in there, some veggies. Because I have now only a little bit of material to work with, I will kind of put this little on a little mound, a hill, so that they stay moist. I'll place it like this. You can see there's a lot of worms in there. The more you get, the better. You can see it was very moist for transport. And I can also take some vegetables and I'll add them to the pile so they have something to eat. Just start adding food as soon as you get them. I will add moisture, and now when the vermicompost is new, every now and then take a water sprayer bottle and kind of sprinkle it with water to make sure that they remain nice and moist. So once we have it like this, we take the cover and cover them up. And from now on, you start adding veggies and stuff, and you've got a working vermicompost. So, after like a couple months, this is what your bin will look like. You can see there's the food scraps right on top. The worms, if we dig, are a little bit deeper, like here. You can see them, they're happy, showing on the food scraps. And so we're adding usually just the vegetables and stuff like that. The worms don't like acidic environment, so do not put any citrus remains like orange peels or citrus peels. Also, they don't like spicy food, so if you have like a chili peppers, stuff like that. Also, onions are said to be bad, so we don't put onions in there. But other than that, it's all fine. We put ground coffee from our coffee machine, and we just put the scraps on top. If they are a bigger one, we kind of chop it up. Here you can see a banana peel made into smaller pieces, and we just spread it out. Don't mix it too much, the worms have their kind of own thing going on, so just add stuff on top. Even if you think it's filling up quite quickly, the worms, as they eat it, it settles, so actually you will get to the top pretty quickly, but then as the worms eat, the whole level starts going slowly down. So this is, I think, what a healthy vermicompost should look like. One of the first thing that you might notice in your bin is there are these tiny white kind of bugs crawling in. They're really tiny, and they're normal. They're just part of the organisms that digest the food. They don't go out or anything. Now, most of the stuff that you find in the kitchen, the cutoffs, they are green, and they are rich in nitrogen, and to even stuff out you then need to add browns, which are rich in carbon. Stuff like that is either cardboard, leaves, grass clippings, or what I think works best, wood dust or wood shavings. And so every now and then just take some. If you don't have wood chips, shredded cardboard works good. Or just tear it into pieces, they will eat it, you will not find it later in there. Also the wood chips are good that they, if the compost is too moist, it kind of adds something dry and helps to control excessive moisture. So every now and then have like a bucket of wood chips or something and sprinkle it on top to even out the greens to the browns. What has happened to us several times is sometimes you will get like a mold. Sometimes it's like a one spot, sometimes it's all over. What we have done is just remove the most obvious parts where there's the most of the mold and then mixed the whole top a little bit and try to make it a little bit drier. So we added like a sawdust or like a pieces of cardboard to dry it up. The biggest culprit by far by getting mold are these coffee pucks from our coffee machine. They like to go moldy very quickly. So what we do is we place it on a plate, we let it dry out a little bit and then spread it like this. And since we've been doing this, we didn't have the problem with mold at all. Also, what you can put in are these tea bags. Just make sure they are not the triangle type ones, which are actually made out of fabric. You can just take the tea bags and throw them in. The worms are said to love them. Some time has passed and now we can see the bin is full, and now it's very simple. Since this is full, we'll just add a next level. So we'll just take a next level, put it on top. My bin has a kind of a specific that the one bin kind of goes inside of the other, so I'll have to take some of the material that's here and move it so I can kind of close this. You don't have to do much because as the worms eat it, it will kind of go in. So let's take some of this material. Squeeze it a bit. And this is fine, this will settle in a week or two. And now close it up and just start filling the next bin. The only problem with the bin that we encountered during the year was that about 3 months in, we got a lot of fruit flies that were flying out of the compost and they were everywhere. We got into a point where we thought we're gonna get rid of the bin, but actually they disappeared after like a few weeks. As suddenly as they appeared, they immediately disappeared, and since then there's not a single fly or any bug or anything that we had with the compost. So I hope that was a one-off. Some people say that's actually a seasonal thing. I'm gonna see probably later. But other than that, there's nothing like that has happened. The bottom of your vermicomposter will be accumulating like a run of water from the vegetables. They're mostly water. Somebody calls this the worm tea, and you can use it to fertilize your plants. This particular bin has a quick access nozzle, so you can just place something underneath, turn it, and the water comes out. You just take it like so. It's kind of this blackish water, and you just use it, mix it with water, and use it to water your plants, and the nutrition from the compost gets to your plants. Sometimes you will come to your bin, and as soon as you open it, you will realize there's a lot of heat coming off of it. That basically means that instead of the worms eating the leftovers, it's actually started composting like a regular compost, which means like bacteria it's basically rotting. and that raises the temperature of the whole compost, and that's dangerous for your worms. Whenever this happens, it basically means there's too much food for them. You either put too much food in the beginning where you didn't have as much worms, and they just couldn't keep up with how much food there was for them, and therefore it started rotting, composting really. And so whenever that happens, it happened to me once or twice, I kind of spread the food to the side to kind of lower the temperature. I removed some of the leftovers and just threw them out, and this helps the worms kind of get on top of the whole thing, stop adding scraps for a while, so you won't kill off the worms because of the high temperature of the compost. Some time has passed and we have filled up the second bin. We're a family of 2 adults and 2 kids, and it takes us roughly 3 months, I would say, to fill up this one bin. So what has happened in the meantime? This was our previous bin that we filled up, and this is the second one we added on top. In the meantime, the worms finished eating everything in this bin, and there's nothing left for them to eat. So naturally, they move through the holes in this bin into the next one where there's food. So most of the worms have migrated up into this bin. So now we can just take this bin and we are left with a beautiful black worm castings, which we can use to plant trees, fertilize them, and so forth. So now I will show you the process on how to collect these castings, because there's still some worms. Most of them have migrated here, but many are still left in here. So I will show you a process that worked best for me to collect these castings. So we've got the top bin, the bin with the castings, and the bottom with the dirty, let's call it a filter. So the first thing that I usually do is I take out this filter, and it's kind of full of kind of a wet slurry, and what I do is I put it in this top bin with the leftovers, because if you put it here, this is very wet and this is gonna make your life harder. So I just take this and I carefully clean it. There's a lot of worms in there, you can see it, and I just clean it into this top bin, like so. So there it goes, the worms are gonna go here into the food. I don't clean this, I just put it back. There's really no point in having this clean. Just pop it back on and it's ready for the next batch. It's time for me to collect my castings, my droppings. So I just take this and remove it. And I will collect it simply into a bucket. Now, there's 2 issues. First, this is wet, and second, there's some worms in here. So I could just take them, put it in here, and leave them basically to dry out, die in there. There's plenty of worms for you in here, I guess you could do that. But if you want to save the worms, there's several methods that you can go about this. Some people like put all the castings to one side and they are slowly removing castings from the other. What I like as a fastest thing, because in an apartment you cannot just leave this out sitting, So I just take it and place the castings on top of my regular bin with my vegetables, and then I just go and aerate it a little bit, and the worms, as they see light, as you are kind of you make it frothy, they will go down. They will try to escape from the light. This is kind of a lengthy process, but I'm kind of taking this and just placing it in the bucket. This is a kind of a tedious process. It takes some time. I just aerate it a little bit, let the worms go down, and basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put light on the worms so they get afraid and they travel down. And they travel down into my bucket where I have my vegetables. Usually I do a little bit, go away, let the worms get lower, and like that I move it continuously. If I see some bigger pieces, something that the worms didn't eat, I filter it out, but later when it dries out we will sift it. So let's get to it. As you are doing this, you can also kind of see what you should and what you shouldn't put in your compost, because here you will see the remains of what they don't eat. Here I can see I teared up some paper and it was waxed. I didn't realize it, and it's all over, so I will need to sift it out later. Doing it like this, it's kind of labor intensive, but and also a hefty number of those worms will end up in the bucket. But actually I found that you can do this within reasonable time, half an hour or so, and you don't have to kind of leave it sitting out somewhere. But if you don't want to dig into it like this, check out stuff that's called either a horizontal migration or vertical migration method, and those are much less hands-on approaches, where you just let the worms migrate fully and you don't have to touch it almost at all. So, as you could see, I put quite a lot of them here, but the idea is that most of them escape to the level below, and you can see that if I give them just a little bit of time, I can see them squeezing through the holes to the level below, and you can see the last remains that will just go because they just hate the light and they feel that the level below is moist and dark, so they go there, and we get the last bits. What you can do, if you are not patient enough, that the last bit you can just take and throw it to the bin below and harvest it the next time. But you can see that most of the worms are below. Let me take this level out, and you can see all the worms have retreated to the level below, and you can see if I remove it, they immediately start going deeper. So I can now leave it like this, and that's basically it. Now obviously this will need to dry out, and later you will have to sift it because there's a lot of solids, stuff that the worms didn't eat. They sell, you will just need a second bucket, and they sell like a sieves that go over a bucket. So we have the bin empty. We removed all the droppings, and now only thing remaining is to take this and put it on top and repeat the whole process. Just keep swapping the bins, and you can see I didn't make so much mess. I think it works great, and that's basically all there is to it. So if you have any of your own tips what to do better, how to make stuff cleaner, let me know down in the comments, and I hope you learned something in the video, and see you next time. Bye!